Bigby's Glory of the Giants brought us a bunch of new feats, some for every single giant and then a base feat for them. Today I wanted to do a build that revolved around the Frost Giant variants of these feats, and I want to give a special thank you to Fledgling, one of our Patreon members and loyal viewer of the channel, who helped us put this build together. This is the Cryo Knight. The main limitation we're going to be facing while doing this build is that we are going to be taking 2 feats, and so we're going to have a slower ASI progression than normal. This means we really want to take custom lineage. This allows us to take a feat on our level 1, then we can be done with feats by level 4, and the rest of our levels can be just bumping those ASIs until they're totally maxed. So what are these feats that we're going to be looking at? The first is Strike of the Giants, and this is going to be the Frost variant, and the second is going to be Fury of the Frost Giant. Both of these effectively reduce our enemy's speed to 0. Strike of the Giants via attacking, and for Fury, it's going to be our reaction. Now, Fury is also a half feat that allows us to bump either Strength, Constitution, or Wisdom, so we're going to want to make sure one of those are an odd number as we start out, so we can round up as well as get an awesome feat, which informs what kind of stats we're going to want. We're going to have a primary in Strength, a secondary in Constitution, a tertiary in Dexterity, aiming for 14 for medium armor. Anything remaining we're going to throw into Wisdom to try to buffer our Wisdom saves as much as we can. As for our leveling structure, we're going to take 5 levels into Battle Master Fighter. We're going to take a dip into Ancestral Guardian Barbarian at 0.3 levels. Then we're going to be going back into Battle Master Fighter for the rest of our career. Because we went custom lineage Strike of the Giants, proficiency times a day, when we make an attack, we get to add a d6 of cold damage, and they need to make a Constitution save. This Constitution save, if failed, reduces their speed down to 0. So we've already become the Cryo Knight at level 1. Every now and again, we're going to be attacking someone, dealing extra cold damage, and making it so they can't move at all. This saving throw calls for our Strength or Constitution modifier. Because Strength is our primary, that's what we're going to be utilizing here. Because we specialize in reducing our enemy's movement speed to 0, this means our weapon of choice is going to be either a glaive or a halberd. It does great damage, but it also gives us reach, so we can pick on those 5-foot melee enemies and they can never attack us back while they're held still. As for our fighting style, there are different options, but personally I'm going to be going Superior Technique. We are a Battle Master. By going Superior Technique, we're going to get more maneuver options as well as uses. The first one I'm going to pick up here is going to be Trip Attack, because it has synergy with our 0 movement. We can knock them prone as well as make it so they can't even move to stand back up, so they're going to be stuck prone on the ground while we beat the crap out of them in melee. Powerful combo. Now, it's worth saying at this point that picking up proficiency in athletics is a good idea. We're not always going to have our frost options available. We can only use them proficiency times a day, but we can still set up a similar combo with grapples where we both grapple and trip them so they're stuck on the ground and don't have movement speed, and from there we can have advantage on our attacks. It's basically a pseudo restrained that we have unlimited access to. Level 2, we're picking up Action Surge, and turns out Action Surge is really great. It's great here too. Level 3, we're in Battle Master now, baby. Again, this is a moment where there's a lot of flexibility, but I'll give you some ideas of what I'm looking at with our maneuver dice. I'm looking at Pushing Attack, because now we can knock an enemy away from us and stop their movement speed so they can't even get back to us. This is great for somebody who really wants to be in melee, and we can force them to be in ranged combat. Bait and Switch can be a great option if you have a teammate who's being pressured. You can get them out of there, bump their AC, get them away without taking an opportunity attack, and then you can replace them ready to be the frontliner that you are. Maneuvering Attack can be a lot of fun, where you can do something similar to Bait and Switch, but you can do it from more of a distance where you can attack someone and get your teammates moving away without taking opportunity attacks. So you kind of can see a theme here where we're more of a control maneuverability based build. We stop them from being able to move and we give our teammates extra movement. So we're really trying to be that battlefield commander vibe mixed with the Cryo Knight vibe. I like how the two come together, and it makes us feel like we are a leader of the battlefield on the front line mixed with just a badass ice theme. At level 4, we're getting Fury of the Frost Giants. This is going to not only be a half feat to bump up our strength, it's also going to allow us to use a reaction to target any enemy within 30 feet of us who makes an attack roll and deals damage. They're going to make a Constitution save against our spell save DC based off of our strength. If they fail it, they're going to take some cold damage, and then they're not going to be able to move at all. Very similar to what we were doing before, but now it procs as a reaction instead of an attack. This also basically doubles the amount of times we can do a freeze somebody so they can't move at all per rest, because now we have 2 different pools to pull our proficiency bonus amount from. On top of that, we get resistance to cold damage, which is perfectly in theme. I love the imagery of this heavy armored knight moving forward, but you see that the armor is frosted frosted over and chilled, and as it moves forward, it leaves frost behind it, and you just get the idea that fighting this knight is going to be problematic because not only is it swinging its blade at you, but you're going to be frozen in place while it is. Pretty cool. Cool side note with the frigid retaliation is if they attack at the beginning of their turn, this procs and they're going to have 0 movement until the end of their next turn, so it's possible for this one reaction to give them 2 turns of 0 movement. This is going to happen more than you think because a lot of times they're just standing there and they're just going to say, I attack. The DM probably won't even be thinking about it, let alone the character down there in the world. So you can get a lot of value for just one reaction. That's pretty powerful stuff. At this point, we've become a pseudo sentinel. We can lock down multiple different enemies in different locations, and as we move to level 5, we get extra attack, which is of course always amazing. Now we're going to be dipping into Barbarian, and this really represents our defender playstyle. This is us becoming more of a tank for our whole party. We are going to drop the heavy armor for some medium armor at this point, but still take the heaviest medium armor that you can get, half plate being preferred. This is because we want rage, and rage is definitely worth the sacrifice. Rage is going to of course increase our damage, increase our tankiness, and is going to increase our grappling ability so we can do more of those stun lock grapples. At Barbarian 2, we're going to get advantage on all dexterity saves, always good, but more importantly, we're going to get reckless attack. Between reckless attack and potentially taking a maneuver like precision attack, you can be extremely accurate. We're going to be going into Ancestral Guardian, and one of the most important things for an Ancestral Guardian is to at least get 1 hit per turn to proc the Ancestral Guardian's ability to make it so they only can really attack you at any amount of efficiency. Otherwise, they're attacking your allies with disadvantage, and your allies are going to have resistance to all the damage. It's super debilitating. It's such a strong debuff. This synergizes incredibly well with our glaive and our freezing them playstyle. Why? Well, because if we can take away their movement and smack them in the face, they're now marked. So they're going to attack our allies at incredible inefficient numbers, so they want to attack us. But here's the thing, is we just smacked them, made them hold still. We either leave if they're a melee combatant and they want to come smack us, now they can't, or we stay if they're a ranged combatant and they're wanting to shoot us at disadvantage up close. Sure, go ahead. I like the idea of flavoring our Ancestral Guardians as more frost, so when we hit an enemy, they're just covered in this frost that makes their attacks very inefficient. These frost spirits maybe, or just frost itself being what is causing their debuff. Just fits the flavor better. And I really like how this all comes together. We can be smacking one enemy, marking them, freezing them. We can be freezing another enemy across the way. So we can just be taking away movement speed across the battlefield, as well as continually debuffing the biggest threat to our allies. As we move forward, we're definitely going to want to max out strength. This increases our save DC, so it's harder to resist our cold. It also just increases our damage output and our grappling and everything that we do. So strength is really important. Some other feats we can look at as we're moving forward can be Polearm Master and Sentinel. That can be a great combo because reducing even more movement speed, and of course there's the Polearm Master combo where if they approach us, we can stop them in their tracks. Especially good with Ancestral Guardians where they want to be attacking us and are incentivized to move towards us. But also just gives us a bonus action attack, which is more damage, but it's also more consistency with marking people with our Ancestral Guardian. So everything's coming together nice and powerful synergies. On top of that, we are going to be going main fighter. So that means we're going to be getting more ASIs than normal. We're also at Barbarian 3, so we can go Barbarian 4 to pick up another ASI whenever we need. So really quickly after we've hit our level 8, where we're fully set up with 5 in Fighter, 3 in Barbarian, our next 2 levels can be more ASIs if we decide. Overall, we've created a strong martial with a strong theme, and it seems like it'd be a lot of fun to play, and it'd be a lot of fun to build stories around why you're the Cryo Knight. I just think Cryo Knight has badass imagery, and so it's worth looking at for that reason alone. But how would you do your Cryo Knight? Let me know in the comments down below. But with that, my friends, I hope you have yourselves an incredible day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.